Hello, daughters. This is Bonnie, and I'm super excited to have you here with me today. So today, this is a very special workshop that I organized around the topic on confidence. Confidence is a very dear topic to my heart because I have been struggling for confidence issue for over a decade, and I have lots to share with you. So today, we will be focusing on decoding what exactly confidence is about, and I will offering you some quick fix on getting over a certain stressful situation. All right, so let's get started, and I'll be sharing my screen right now. Okay, so the topic today is confidence, and in particular, how you can amplify your power when dealing with others. So the topics that we will be covering today involves what exactly is confidence and the gap between having enough or having not enough. And I will be talking about how you can overcome two common stressful scenarios, which I pick speaking up in meetings and job interviews. And I will be sharing you powerful techniques that you can get over it. And then I'll talk about the difference between situational confidence versus the real confidence. And then I'll also talk about what exactly is personal power and why is it important. We will also go through how transformation is happening. And if you stay till the end of the workshop, I will give you 5 bonus exercises to help to increase your confidence level. All right, so in case you don't know who I am, my name is Pony. I live in Hong Kong, and I am a career strategist and purpose coach. So I help people find meaningful careers, and I love to see people shine. Literally, I see all the potentials in people when I first meet someone, and I can't help but I want every one of you to really leverage your potential, because only by doing that collectively we can make the world a better place. So don't waste your potential and leave it underneath your bed. So that's how I'm designed for, and I am carrying my purpose and my calling into my work every single day. And one of my strengths is to activate quick breakthrough in people, because I'm very practical and very hands-on, yet I bring an essence of a connection with your inner self, your inner truth, because I'm curious about everything around how our mind works, including psychology, including subconscious mind, including body intelligence, spirituality, and mindfulness. So I will incorporate all of this mindset stuff into my work together with practical strategy to keep you moving forward. So let me ask you, today, if you are joining us in this confidence workshop, then if you're going to rate your level of confidence today from 1 to 10, what would be your number? Maybe 5, 6, maybe 7. Probably won't be 10, because if you're here today, then you want more confidence, correct? So what is confidence exactly? To put it simply, confidence is the trust you have in yourself that you have the ability in doing something well. Having the trust in yourself that you have the ability in doing something else. Okay? So that's confidence. And usually when we have a gap in between how we want to feel versus what we are actually feeling, that gap is what we usually describe as a lack of confidence. So a lack of confidence could show up as not feeling comfortable being at the center of attention. So a lot of times For example, during a social gatherings, suddenly all eyes are on you when you have mentioned something special. And at that point, are you feeling joyful or delighted when all eyes are on you, or you suddenly blush and feel embarrassed? Or in a situation where you were having a work meetings, you wanted to speak up, but you hesitate and worry that if you really speak up, people will get mad at you. Or a lack of confidence could show up as feeling embarrassing or uneasy in a job interview. So in a job interview, you're supposed to be there to express your brilliance to the recruiter on how awesome you could be if they hire you, right? But you feel kind of embarrassed to brag about what you've achieved. Or if you are going to decide to take the lead or not when you're making a life decision and you're hesitant about it. So it could also be a sign that you might be lacking of confidence. So in essence, the gap between having the confidence in doing something or not is that what you're currently feeling is different than what you really want to feel. So the difference in feeling right now and your desire is the gap of confidence. So if we want to break down the gap, in essence, it's fear. And two types of major fears. The first type of fear is fear of being judged by other people. More about that later on. And the second type of fear is the fear of the unknown. Usually unknown of the future, unknown of how other people will be responding, or unknown of a new change that you're not familiar with. So usually the fear is based on these two things. One is involved with other people, that you want to look good, you want people to like you. And then the fear is it's usually two types. One type is fear of being judged by other people. Another type is fear of the unknown, usually presented in the future, or that you worry that something might happen that you might not be able to handle that. So that's the gap between how you're currently feeling versus what you want to feel. And that's the gap between having the confidence or not. And when you have a fear, I want to show you something that, that is proven by science, because physically, fear and excitement is actually very, very similar. So imagine if you're going to take a roller coaster ride, you might be having the excitement of what is going to happen. You might also have some fear inside your body. Maybe you'll have butterfly in the stomach, right? So that could happen. But fear and excitement in our body is actually very similar. All of them are anticipation of the future. And both of them are very strong emotion with a dominating energy that can override us in making logical decisions. And it's very similar in terms of the chemical release by our brain, and hence a very similar physiology response and our body sensation, like having a butterfly in your stomach. So if you can transmute, or you can talk to yourself that actually you're not feeling fear at that moment, it might be just excitement, you can transmute your fear energy into a powerful excitement energy to keep you moving. So if we had to break down the fear versus excitement, fear is just expecting a negative outcome in future, versus excitement is expecting a positive outcome in future. So it's just a perception. Therefore, if you want to overcome a stressful situation, you can change your perspective by taking a new angle from seeing the situation. You can also get prepared for what would happen in advance so that you are ready to respond. And the third point is very important because a lot of us tend to easily give away our power to other people to decide if we are valuable. For example, we keep asking for advice if we should do something or we shouldn't do something. When you are asking such question, a lot of times you're not seeking for advice. A lot of times you're seeking for permission to go for what you want. Notice that it's a pattern that a lot of ladies are having right now. Okay. So we've talked about what is confidence, what is the gap between having the confidence in doing what we want to do, which is the fear, and then we will be taking some real case study on how we can practically get over some stressful situation. So in particular today, I chose two scenarios. The first scenario is speaking up in meetings or in public. So these are the most common stressful situations. And the second one is the job interviews. You might also say, well, if I'm negotiating with someone I consider in power, it could be my parents, it could be my boss, or it could be anyone that I consider they're an expert or an authority in something. Or maybe I'm going to have a difficult conversation. So in essence, number 2, 3, 4, it's very similar in terms of the challenge. So what I'm going to present you today on the techniques to handle the situation can be applied to the negotiation with someone in power as well as having a difficult conversation. So let's talk about the stressful situation number 1 on speaking up in meetings. So imagine you are in a work meetings. You have something to say, but you hesitate because number 1, you might not want to stand out from the crowd, which you might be drawing a lot of attention, which makes you feel uncomfortable. Number 2, you may not want to break the harmony of the agreeable atmosphere. So depending on your corporate culture, for some corporate culture, usually the meetings is not very interactive or participative. Usually it's at the top down, meaning the manager or the director in team is speaking and the others is just responding. So if that happens, then you might feel it challenging to express a different opinion. You would also worry that if someone would get mad when you ask a question or you are speaking something from a totally different perspective. Or you might worry that you say some stupid thing or asking a stupid question and get laughed at. So this could be all the worries inside your head when you are about to voice your opinions in a meeting. So let's reframe the entire situation. So what if it doesn't really matter whether you're right or wrong? You are just here to express what you are thinking. Because whichever the case, whether you're right or wrong, it's a wonderful opportunity to clear up the communication gap. Because when you are in a meeting, if you have a new thought that you want to express, then it could either represent a misunderstanding or it could represent a new perspective that no one had ever thought about. So don't care too much whether you're right or wrong, just express it when it's helpful to others. Another question you might ask yourself is, what if expressing an opinion is not about you? Because if they are not expecting an interaction with you, they won't be calling a meeting. it's very expensive to call a meeting with a lot of people in terms of time. Time is very valuable. We cannot take back our time. So if we are sitting together discussing a same topic, then why not express your opinion? Because it might not be about you, it's about the whole team. And what if someone suffers if you hold your opinions to yourself? Might be a lot of people are thinking similar thoughts, but they just don't have the courage to express it. So by saying what you're thinking, you're helping others as well. And if after the meeting, will you regret not saying what you wanted to say? If you will regret it, then don't give yourself this opportunity to regret it. Just say it in a meeting. And finally, is the message coming from a place of helping, not attacking. So when we are talking about whether to say something or not, we always want to be helpful. We always want to be adding value instead of attacking. So when you have all these questions to think about in a meeting, in terms of deciding whether you should voice out or not, it would change how you view the meeting, because a lot of times we're thinking about too much. We're putting a lot of focus on ourselves, meaning we have a lot of worries about how people are seeing you. But what if you're taking your focus off yourself? Because it's not really about you when you're speaking up in a meeting. It's about what you have to say. Your message and you can be separated. So the solution I have for you is, number one, shift your focus off yourself when you're considering to speak up in a meeting, because it's not about you. You're not making a self-introduction in a meeting, right? So you're talking about your work, talking about tasks, talking about how you can improve a certain work, whether it's processes, whether it's logistic, or the quality of the work that you're putting on. So it's about the team, it's about the good work, it's not about you. So just shift the focus off yourself and focus on the task or everybody else. Second solution, you have to believe that what you have to share is beneficial to others. It also comes down to how you value yourself, what your self-worth comes from. You have to believe that what you have to say is beneficial to others. So when sharing is helping, then you're more likely to share. Number three, look people into their eyes. This is very important because most people who have a confidence issue have trouble in looking people into their eyes. And in a meeting, it might be intimidating to speak up, but when you treat a whole meeting as if you are talking to people individually, one by one, then looking people into their eyes, one person at a time, and give each person like 3 seconds or 5 seconds, then slowly you will be feeling easier to talk about and to express your opinion. So these are the 3 solutions in handling a stressful situation like speaking up in meetings. And I have one extra technique for you if you are particularly nervous about speaking up in a public setting. It could be a meeting, or it could be a public speaking event as well with a larger audience. It's the same thing. So this technique is called movie director technique, which you see yourself as the movie director. And then you will have a bird's eye view of your entire crew and the entire scenario. And this meeting is one of the important scenes in your movie. So when you see yourself as a director, then your first person is the director role, and you will be seeing yourself sitting in where you're sitting in the meeting room, playing an important role, and that role has a script to say. And visualize yourself from the camera in playing that role, in speaking that script, and to keep the story unfolding. Because if you are an actress, you have to say the script for the story to unfold, right? So this is a very interesting visualization practice for you to distance yourself from worrying too much. So when you see yourself as a third person, you see yourself into the movie in speaking the scripts, that would help to soothe your anxiety being in your body. So that's a very interesting technique. You can try next time when you feel really nervous about speaking up in meetings. Okay, so let's move on to the scenario number 2, which is about job interviews. So a lot of people know me. I know a lot of you know me, know about my work is about job search or having job interviews. So this can be very crucial to you, being confident in a job interview to show how brilliant you are. So I know a lot of you might be having difficulties in job interview because number one, you feel embarrassed when you are asked to introduce yourself. Even though you might have a script that you have prepared, you might have practiced a lot of time in front of a mirror for your self-introduction, but when you are in the job interview, you feel kind of uneasy because either you feel clumsy to read out all your script of self-introduction, or you feel like robotic when you're speaking it. So in essence, you have trouble in telling them how good you are or introducing the true self to them. You might also be very nervous because you really want that job. That makes you feel extra nervous because you want to impress people. But when you're trying too hard, it shows that you're desperate. So that desperate energy comes out as you feeling very nervous in job interview. Sounds familiar, right? So let's reframe the entire situation. So you have to remember that what is the work of a recruiter. So as a human resources professional and a recruiter for a decade myself, I really understand that the challenge of a recruiter is getting more difficult and more difficult. You have to remember that an excellent recruiter is someone who can find the best match talent and get him or her on board the soonest. A recruiter's job is not here to reject you. A recruiter's job is to hire the right person soonest. So stop worrying about the critical interviewer who are trying to put people down. It's not true, because if a recruiter wants to be effective, they would want to find the best match talent and to lure them on board as soon as possible, because the best talent always have a lot of job offers on hand. They have to compete with others, and they would be acting like a salesperson to attract the best talent on board. So when you have that understanding of what a recruitment job is all about, how can you help the recruiter to do a good job himself or herself? Can you help her out in a job interview to show the best in you so that the recruiter can finish her job soonest? Think about that. The second thing I want you to think about the entire job interview situation is that it's just a conversation. It's a conversation between two persons or several persons involved in a panel interview with an intention to explore if you and the company and the role that you're applying is the right match for each other. And when it's a conversation, it's an exploration, then they are choosing you and you are choosing them as well. You have a choice. You're not there to be judged. You are there to explore if they are suitable for you as well. So don't give away your power of choosing in a job interview situation. A lot of times, what you are seeing in I mean, how you perceive a company image from the outside could be very different when you get in touch with the people working there. So use a job interview as an excellent opportunity for you to get to know a company and its culture, to test whether it really matches your expectations. And then remember that when you have an interview invitation from a recruiter, then the recruiter already see your potentials from the CV. So help the recruiter bridge the gap between the potential they see in your CV versus what you could actually be helping his or her team in doing the work. So help the recruiter paint a vivid picture to make the recruiter think that to see you as her colleague already. And then really help the recruiter by showing the best in you, so that the recruiter can stop having extra interviews for highest position. So the interview and the recruitment process ends with you because they want to hire you so much that they want to stop the recruitment work altogether. So can you reframe the entire job interview process like that? And if you can, then it won't be as difficult as you thought. So my solution to you, number one, is to get clear on what you are here to communicate. So I've said that job interview is a conversation with an intention to explore if each of you are right match for each other. So get clear on what you are here at a job interview to communicate. I'll show you several techniques on that later on. Number two, you have to see both of you as equal, which is super, super, super important, because when you come into a job interview or in a negotiation meeting, and you assume the other person is more powerful than you, then it's very difficult for you to change that power imbalance. So you have to start off by seeing both of you as equal. And then in the meeting, you are seeking win-win instead of seeking to override another person. Because it's always the most beneficial when you're seeking win-win for the both parties to feel happy after the meeting sessions. So this is a technique that I always teach to job seekers before they are having an interview. So you can use the magical door frame technique when you're walking inside the building of the interview venue. So it's reframing or visualization exercise. So when you're walking through the door of that building, of the interview venue, you talk to yourself that once I walk through this door, in the coming 60 minutes or so, I'll show whoever I meet, including the people who control the lift, including the receptionist, including the secretary of the director that you're going to have interview, including everyone that you're going to meet right after you have walked inside that building. I'll show whoever I meet my top 3 competencies that are most relevant to the job, and focus on that 3 competencies in all your interaction with people, in all your interview answers, and just focus on 3, because our attention span is very limited. So just focus on 3 key competencies and frame your answers around that 3 competencies in all your interview answers. So for example, it could be, I'm a powerful communicator on communication skills. I'm a masterful project manager. I am so creative to solve problems of thinking out of the box. So it could be the top 3 competencies of me, but it might not be for you. And you'll be choosing top 3 that are the most relevant to the job. And in each interview, before you walk into that building, remind yourself your top 3 competencies, and you will be really confident and focused during the job interview on what to say. You won't lose track because you have the top 3 in you, like the 3 bullet points inside your heart during the entire interview section. So this is the magical door frame technique, which you can use. And the second one you can use is to visualize light bubble. So the purpose here for the exercise is to help you see you and the other person as an equal. So you can imagine there's a light bubble wrapping all around you. If you play the bubble soccer, it kind of a similar concept, that there's a light bubble wrapping all around you, and then there's another light bubble wrapping around the other person that you're going to meet, whether it's a job interview or a negotiation table. So you're going to glow the two bubbles to the biggest that fills the room. So when you glow the two bubbles to the biggest, that means the two bubble is of the same size, right? So it's very important you see you and the other person having a light bubble in the same size. And it really feels powerful because both of you are equally powerful as another human being. And then visualize a conversation between you two. The bubble remains the same size no matter what was spoken. You two are equal and are as powerful as the other being. No one is overriding another. And no matter what happened, what was spoken, you have your own power, and both of you are equal as well. And then there's another interesting twist on that visualizing light bubbles exercise, because when you grow your light bubble large enough, you can't help but merge with each other. So when your energy is merging with each other, you will be seeking win-win situation out of your communication, right? So you can't help but merge with each other. It also represents that you will be seeking win-win out of the situation. So these are two interesting but very effective visualization exercise you can do to trick your mind into a more confident state in stressful situation like job interviews. And these two techniques, you can apply it to having a difficult conversation or having a negotiation to people in power as well. They're very effective for this situation as well, besides having job interviews. All right, so I'm all for practical techniques, and these are all that you can apply immediately in your current situation. But then, these are just quick fix. They're like the band-aids on helping you to get situational confidence. All right, so I know my techniques are practical and they're effective, but they don't give you real confidence. They just give you situational confidence. And when I talk about situational confidence, it refers to that your confidence is dependent on an external context or an incident or some stuff. So I just help you to get through a particularly stressful situation, but it might not be helping you in long term in terms of real confidence, because we are not getting to the root of the wounds and to heal them. It's just a band-aid to get over a certain situation. And I want you to ask yourself if you are attaching your self-worth to something external. Like, if I remove you from the job title, that you are not your job title, or you have resigned from your current position, then who are you? When you are in a social situation, when you're meeting a new friend, they ask about, hey, what do you do? What would be your answer if you are not your job title? Are you still valuable? Do you consider yourself useful? Or imagine if our entire school and education system determine grades not by how good we are in mathematics, in languages, or in history, but by determining how good you are at swimming, and swimming alone as if you're a fish. Then how would that influence how you see yourself growing up? So imagine you're going to a school that only takes swimming seriously, and no other subjects can compare. How would that influence how you see yourself today? Or might be you're feeling good about yourself to finally buy a Chanel handbag. But then one day, the world collapsed and you're sent to a remote island by yourself. Would having the Chanel handbag affect how you feel about yourself? Like compare the before and after in this question and see if there's a difference between how you see yourself in all this situation. Because if there's a difference between before and after, that means you are somehow attaching some of your self-worth to something external. And we all know that the external environment and context is something that is out of our control. What we really do have control is only how we feel inside. We cannot control how people think about us. We cannot control how the world changes. We can only ride on the tides and going in flow with the change. So we cannot control the external situation, and it's very dangerous when we're attaching our self-worth to something external. So there's a real differentiation between having the real confidence and situational confidence. Number one, real confidence is when you can feel comfortable in your own skin in various situations without external validation at all. And the feeling that you are able to handle most situations as they occur, even though you might not have been in a similar one before. And real confidence represents that you have an intrinsic value as a living being. And the confidence is coming from within, not outside. Because when your confidence is coming from within, no one can take away it from you. And the reason why it's so rare for people to have the real confidence is the false beliefs that we absorb throughout our education and upbringing. Like we determine our values or success by our grades, by our job title, by our salary, etc. Or that our parents or education brings us that life is a constant competition with others on a certain benchmark that listed about like grades or job titles. But who decide that? I mean, why we're competing with others constantly with those benchmarks? Why can't we compare with others with other benchmarks? Or why can't we all decide our own game rules to define how we are going to live our life? And then we see a lot of people swinging like a pendulum between being arrogant and being self-pity. Probably you see a lot of people like that in the workplace as well, who swing between being arrogant and being self-pity at the same time, because when our external situation changes, our confidence changes because they only have a situational confidence. For example, a CEO in a company might look like they're very confident. Sometimes it might be arrogant, but in a private setting, might be he or she is having trouble in speaking up to a romantic partner. They could feel being self-pity in front of an attractive potential romantic mate. So it could happen because they don't have real confidence. They only have situational confidence. And this is very dangerous when someone is attaching the confidence and the self-worth to an external situation, because when that situation changes, for example, someone is getting fired or a student is failing an exam, then they think it's about them. They think they are the failure. The task fails doesn't mean that a person is a failure. It's an entirely detached thing, but when you attach yourself to an external situation, this could happen. So we always see a lot of people who seem to be very successful, but they get suicide. Or we see students who have very high pressure in exam, and when they fail exam, they don't know what to do, what else they can do in life, because they feel like they are doomed for failure in their entire life. So a lot of students get suicide when they get bad grades, especially in Asia. This is a very dangerous thought that we all have, kind of, but these are false beliefs. That's not true. That's really not true. And then another false belief that we probably a lot of us have is the inner critic. We have a voice in our head that keeps telling us that we're not good enough, that we need to constantly keep improving, that we need to be more hardworking, be more smart, learn more. So that's an inner critic in us that is too loud in criticizing. So for us to have real confidence, we will first need to tap into a reservoir of personal power. It's like the field of a power to drive us in doing a lot of things. So when you reconnect with your personal power, and we all have them. When you reconnect with your personal power, you have to feel that powers you in taking all the necessary action in achieving your goal without the self-sabotage. You also have a solid and grounded source of faith in yourself and in the future. You will also have the elegance in expressing your idea and getting your message across without hurting anyone involved. You would also have a genuine love of learning and a strong curiosity versus constantly learning out of fear of missing out. Remember that a lot of us have a very strong inner critic that we're not good enough. But when you are learning from that place of fear, instead of you have a genuine love of learning, it's very different in terms of the effects you get from your learning. And ultimately, and most importantly, when you have the personal power, you have a total trust in yourself that no matter what is going to happen, you can handle it. This is the trust in yourself that no matter what is going to happen, the future is unpredictable, the future might be unfamiliar, but you can handle it no matter what. This is the personal power that we all should be having, but we have lost touch in that personal power, and that's why so few of us have the real confidence and a healthy one. And that is the transformation I really want to see in you, having 10x more powerful, more impactful, and having more joy in doing what you do. That's really the transformation I want to see in you, having the personal power. But transformation doesn't happen through passive learning. This is the common mistake that I see a lot of people are having, because they keep taking seminars, they keep buying new books, or downloading free guides online, and their entire bookshelf with self-help books. But these are all passive learning. That is what I mean is the information consumption. So it's just that you have a different hobby of shopping, right? Some people would love to shop, buy a lot of shoes, or they love to buy a lot of toys for boys, a lot of watches, a lot of handbags, or a lot of new clothes. You just love to learn, so you buy a lot of books. You love to buy a lot of information section. You love to buy a lot of training courses. It's just a different kind of shopping or consumption pattern, but it doesn't mean that you have turned what you learn into practice. So this is passive learning, and passive learning doesn't bring transformation. So a lot of us right now is kind of addicted to the edutainment. So that's what I'm talking on when you are having, when you keep buying books, but you will never finish them. You are investing in training courses, but you will never finish them. You have downloaded a lot of freebies, you buy a lot of books, you have attended a lot of seminars, and you might feel that you have up level, or at the moment when you sign up a new thing, taught by a guru, or you might feel really inspired, or you learn an insight. after attending a training, like a workshop like this one, you feel inspired at the moment and you feel good about yourself for maybe an hour, but after that, your life goes on as usual. So it doesn't really bring change in your life. Then what you are doing is just having an entertainment with education. We call that edutainment, right? If you are addicted to entertainment, you are just getting addicted to the dopamine that you have after you have hear a new insights that you have. You feel inspired after attending a certain training. That it's just entertainment with education. But if your life go on as usual, it's not a transformation. And if you are really keen on changing your life and bringing yourself to the next level and to make yourself happier, then transformation can only happen when you first you have to release the deep-rooted belief in you that no longer serve you. We have a lot of false beliefs in us, and we have to release them because otherwise changing action alone would not change your thought pattern. So the same result would keep repeating itself. So you have to release that false belief. First, it's like you have to declutter your home and to clear away all the non-necessary stuff inside your house in order to buy new things inside your house, right? You have to declutter your mind and to replace with new empowering beliefs. And then you have to do the work. You have to be committed to a new set of habits to help you ground those new truths in your life. And then you have to do the work. You have to take the action to really hold yourself accountable for your reality instead of shifting your responsibility to others by blaming or by complaining. And you do need a lot of grit in repeating the trial and error a lot of times and to learn from your experience if you are doing it on your own, which could be very painful, but you don't have to do it all by yourself. I mean, it would be so much easier when you are working with someone who've already been where you've been and to point your path where there's the less struggle. And of course, you don't see yourself completely or holistically because we all have our own blind spots. As a coach, I do have a coach for myself because I don't see my blind spot. So if you allow someone who genuinely care about your growth to hold space for you so that you can just focus on the change itself without wandering around for the logistic, then transformation can happen so much faster and so much easier. And that is how I was designed for. If you know me for a while, you know that I am so much obsessed about carrying my purpose and my calling into my work. And my calling is to help ambitious people like you who have a big heart to serve the humanity to leverage your full potential. Because if you are under leverage your full potential, then the whole world suffers. But collectively, if every one of us can fully leverage our potential, then together we can make the world a better place. And I really want you to feel safe in becoming who you truly are, unapologetically. So if you are ambitious and achievement-oriented, if you're motivated and you take your growth seriously, if right now you are ready to break free of your own crap and to get rid of whatever is getting in the way in moving forward, and you're willing to open up and be vulnerable in digging into your deeper truth, I would love to invite you to work with me one-on-one. So this is something that I put together in June because I see a lot of you are having a confidence issue, and I really do want to help to outlevel your confidence and to tap into your personal power so you can be a more confident and a more powerful person moving forward. Because it changes everything in life. When you're more confident, your career would improve, your relationship with your parents improve, your relationship with your partners will improve, and you feel so much happier around other people because you are not afraid of how people are judging you anymore. So the influence of having a personal power and a real confidence is enormous. And if you're ready to work with me one-on-one, that's how we're going to work together. We will be working, I will be designing you a personalized coaching curriculum where we will be working one-on-one either weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the pace that you want in working together. And it's a co-creation because I won't be doing all the work for you. You have to do your work as well. I'm just giving you the guidance and the push that you need to get through your own craft. So it's a co-creation process. When we talk about coaching, your success is my success. And it's about me holding space for you to grow, to shed your old skin and to evolve. And each of you are very different in terms of your upbringing, in terms of your challenges. So I will give you tailored strategies and tools based on your specific needs. And I am very practical. So I will be focused on giving you something that you can see value immediately, which is implementation focus, and make sure you get done what you say you will do. So that's how it's like working one-on-one with me. And for the next quarter, that is July, August, and September, I have only 6 spots of openings for the next quarter. So it's not for everyone. I'm not inviting everyone to work with me because I have limited time, you have limited time too, and I want to see if both of us are a right match before we work together one-on-one. So if you feel called to work with me, then I'll be sending you a link to apply so that we can have a chat before we really dive into working together. So I'll be sending you a link to apply if you're interested, but if you're not committed, then really don't apply because my time and attention will only be devoted to those who are willing to do the work and see that as their responsibility to be in charge of their own life. So after working with me one-on-one, here's what you can expect to have as a result. So given you're willing to do the work, you'll be able to assert yourself in meetings, in interviews, and in negotiation settings. In fact, you can take what I have shared with you on the techniques is just a tidbit of what I have in my library. I have tons of techniques like that. So whatever situation you're going to face, I have a tool for you. So you'll be able to assert yourself in meetings and interviews. You'll be feeling more motivated to take actions. A lot of people feel like they would need some kind of motivation or they might need productivity tricks in order to get them motivated, but it's not true because when you tap into your personal power, then you feel you are motivated to take actions towards your desires. You don't need extra external motivation because you are internally driven and motivated to take action versus you keep making excuses on why you procrastinate doing something. And then you will trust your decision easier when you're doing the big or small decisions in life. You will save tons of time in making excuses, self-sabotage, and second-guessing yourself. And you will also have a crystal clarity on where you are heading because the first session we'll be having, but with every one-on-one client, would be having the clarity on what you're going to achieve moving ahead. So you will have the clarity on where are you heading and to remove all the distraction that is on the way. And as soon as you're working with me, people around you will start noticing your positive change, that you're responding more pleasantly, that you have more confidence in your conversation, you show up more genuinely in social situations. So your relationship and your love life will dramatically be improved. And that's just the bonus of having the confidence, the real confidence, and having able to tap into your personal power. So this are the expected results if you choose to work with me one-on-one. And for the duration of working with you one-on-one, you can choose. So the minimum duration will be 1 quarter, which is 3 months. We can meet either weekly or bi-weekly. And then you can, when moving on, you can see if you want to continue working with me, or you can see if you want to take a break or something, because working on personal power and real confidence takes time. It takes time with your action on your side, on doing the work, practicing, and to strengthen your muscle. It's like going to the gym. You won't build a six-pack in 2 days. It's not possible. Confidence is like a muscle. You need time to do the work and to strengthen the muscle. So we will be working together on a quarterly basis. And then after every quarter, we will review our progress and see what else we will be working together on one-on-one coaching. So these are all the past praises that I have from my past coaching clients. Like Jean Tin said, I'm a total game changer because I saved her in her darkest moment in life. And she said, I'm the compassionate and resourceful women that she's ever met. I'm really grateful for comments like that, because what fuels me in doing my work is really seeing the positive change in people. Because in my eyes, I always see the potential in people, and it really breaks my heart when I see people staying in a NOAA game and not leveraging their full potential. And I really want to see that. I really want to help people shine and to really take on their full potential and to radiate their inner brilliance. So as promised, before you go, I am offering 5 extra exercises to help you increase your real confidence. So these are the 5 exercises. Number 1, make a list of all that you're good at. Whether it's people that praise about you, or anything that you, when you compare yourself with other strengths or weaknesses, you identify something that you're good at. Actually, I have put together a tiny workbook on these 5 exercises to guide you through that. So you don't need to copy that. I'll send a link after this confidence workshop so that you can download the workbook to go through these 5 exercises in a more structured way. So number 1 will be listing, identifying all that you're good at. Number 2 will be listing all your weaknesses and flip them around. This is very powerful, because when a lot of us have a confidence issue, it could be that we are being too critical about ourselves. For example, if you have a constant anxiety on something in the future, you might think it's a weakness, but if you flip them around, it could be a strength, that you have a very strong imagination about what is going to happen. Because you infuse yourself into what could go wrong in the future, and it's an imagination strength as well if you flip them around. So this is exercise number 2. Exercise number 3 is to create a bread book. A bread book is it could be like a scrapbook, which you would collect all your past achievements and write that onto the book. You can also paste some photos, images onto it, and every time you feel down, you can get the bread book out and to read them and to see how amazing you are, what kind of great achievement you've done in the past, to give yourself a pat on the back, right? Number 4 is to create a pump-up music playlist as your morning exercise. It's a very simple trick, but it really kind of transformed my life, because I start every morning with this pump-up music playlist. And because usually when we wake up, we feel kind of weak and not very energetic. So instead of doing some kind of stretching exercise, I just put on my pump-up music list. I just dance to energize my body, to release my emotion, and to feel high first thing in the morning. so that I have the energy to carry through that emotion throughout my day. Number 5 is to tackle one thing that you hate most first thing in the morning. And the logic behind this is that when you can tackle one thing that you hate most the first thing in the morning, you feel like your day is unbeatable. For example, I hate doing phone calls, but I choose to do that first thing in the morning so that all the rest of the tasks feel super easy. It feels like an easy job for me. So it's a trick that a lot of successful people use is to tackle the first, to tackle what you think is most difficult or what you hate most the first thing in the morning to keep your productivity up and high. So these are 5 more exercises that I introduced to you to increase your real confidence. So after this confidence workshop, I will be sending you one, the workbook of these 5 extra exercises, and 2, more information about how you can work with me one-on-one on the personal power coaching, and that the link to apply to fill out a Google form. So I thank you for all your attention in this section. And I hope that you find this workshop helpful, because I offer a lot of confidence tips and techniques to you, which you can apply in your real life right away. So have a good week ahead, and I wish to talk to you very soon. Bye.